Hello and welcome to another episode of Goa 365's Face to Face. Now today we have in our studio a familiar face. May not be so familiar to people, people who are following the politics of with the Lok Sabha elections coming up and all, but somebody who is very Goan, about Goanness, about greenery, about trees, about generally. From Asagaon, Daniel Bab D'Souza. Daniel Bab,
thank you.
Welcome to our show. Now, to give you a small brief for those who are not aware of what his background is. Probably, I'm sure they all know him, but he's a botanist, he's a landscape artist, one can say. Plus, he is the one who has brought in one of the pioneers to bring in bonsai in Goa. Daniel Bab, welcome to our show. And to start off, now you're a tree man, you're a green man, or whatever you may what we may want to call you, but give us an overall situation of what is the in Goa about trees, greenery, and just an overall before we get into.
So honestly, growing up in Banyan, we used to have a lot of tree cover, and what really hurts me is every monsoons we use a huge tree cover. Now, as I say, the tree cover is only not meant for humans. We should look after birds and butterflies as well as the avian friends. It's not just giving oxygen for one person or giving the shade. It's an entire biodiversity that takes an entire state to the next level. Even if you're looking at a city of Panjim, when you go for the grading, the tree cover at that moment has to be good to get some sort of ranking. And what's happening in Panjim breaks my heart to see natural tree cover being lost due to natural calamities which we can't help, but sometimes in the name of development. So honestly, the tree cover is declining at a very rapid pace, and it breaks my heart.
Could you give us a general overview of the horticulture and landscaping in Goa?
See, gardening and landscaping, I would say landscaping has just started in Goa last 15 or 10 years. But before that, it was really not landscaping. So it is, as we have progressed, Goa has opened up I think after COVID, there's so much of people have relocated. So landscaping is now playing a very important role. But initially, landscaping was just meant for the very elite class of people. Horticulture, I still say, is not feasible in Goa because none of our people actually work in this line. We are entirely dependent on migrant labor. Migrant labor rate is anything between 800 to 1,000 rupees. So how can you sustain horticulture or agriculture based in Goa? So what's happening in Goa? I say it in bold. No nursery practices happening in Goa. It is pure trading. So they bring in the plants from either Bangalore, Pune, Calcutta. They keep them and they sell. But in Goa, no practice of actual horticulture is happening, and this is the time the government has to agriculture department and the government has to look into it as to why we are not getting, even in the rural villages, nobody is taking it up, and that's very sad. Tomorrow, if all these other villages across the states start developing and the people and the manforce stop coming to Goa, it's going to be doomsday for us.
Yeah, but see, it's basically what you're trying to say is that Goans don't want to get into agriculture.
Yes.
Themselves. They would prefer to hire somebody.
Yes. But no, they don't want to work.
They don't work in the fields.
They don't want to work in this field for whatever the reason. It's like I've been into horticulture landscaping now, I would say almost past 30 years. But sadly to say, I hardly come across anybody who really wants to dirty their hands and all. Everybody wants to sit in a AC office, and overall, it hurts my heart to see the way our youth are looking at the future.
IT?
I think it's what I would say, but it's sad to say on camera, it's fast money. It's fast money and it's not very good.
But you think IT, everybody wants to go for IT,
yeah, and actually, sir, honestly, what does Goa has to offer for what does Goa have besides our beaches and whatever? What has it got to offer? So after even however good you do your qualification, I think it's options across India where people are going across.
Yeah, fair
And now
enough.
what is happening, even if you see the quality of tourism what you're getting is totally trash. Honestly, if you ask me, it's not tourism what's happening.
That's true.
It's not proper tourism. A proper tourism is where we can increase the revenue, give platforms. People are coming, they're camping on the roads, they're staying in the fields, they are spoiling the fields, they are using the fields. So it's, according to me, it's a different, Goa is going on a different line. It's a Goa that we have seen as we have grown up.
Deteriorating, you mean?
And I honestly feel it's deteriorating very badly, and it's very hard to see because we have seen it.
Correct. Yeah, just to bring it, to sort of that sort of an angle. Now, why would a tourist come to Goa, according to you? For the Goa, as you just pointed out, for the Goa we have seen, or for the Goa of buildings and concrete? Why would you?
If
as
you
a
want an
tourist-
honest answer,
honest, yes,
I think
absolutely.
it's cheap alcohol. It's cheap alcohol that brings them to.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, because I live in Asagaon and I do all my projects along coastal belt, and I see a lot of people starting the day with beer bottles at as early as 10 and 9:30 in the morning. Tourist.
I see.
So I think one of the very reason is alcohol, and the second one I think all of us know, which I don't want to open up my mouth.
But what about don't people come to Goa because of the greenery, because of the
No.
trees, because of the
They don't. They are not interested in all that.
tourists which
They are not interested in it. There is a very niche client who's seriously interested in the heritage, and because we have got a lot of monuments and lot of things, and we are blessed with the microclimatic conditions. We have got a lot of bird species, but that's not really tapped. That's nearly, it's on a ratio of 100, maybe 20% will come for that, 20 or 30%. But
Balance.
overall balance is just calm. Yeah, it's just calm and do your own thing. Like, you see the rowdiness what's happening. Cars on the beach, because I feel so hurt when I walk on the beaches. I see these big vehicles. Imagine the so many small shells on the beaches are getting crushed with these vehicles. It's like you come to Goa, okay, you can throw off your shirt, you can drive your shirt on the Goa roads, and there's nobody. But we can't. When we go to Bangalore, Pune, we can't do that.
of course.
So yeah, I think it's time that we have to change our mindset. And the concerned people in authority should see where we are heading to, and it's something very serious. It's very serious.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, because especially you live in Asagaon, which is today become like a mini Delhi, so as to
Exactly.
so as to say.
It's correct.
Yeah.
It's correct.
Yeah. So shifting little bit to what was your journey? You are you are a botanist, no doubt. But what was your journey to get into bonsai, to get into trees, to
So
save
honestly,
trees,
I've been passionate about plants from the age of 4.
Okay.
So I was very passionate. So that's what I always say. I've got chlorophyll in my blood. So I think I was destined.
And you got plant tattoos.
So honestly, I was destined to be with plants. My dad wanted me to be a civil engineer, and he also took me for some admission in some college, and not good to say, but I was bunking because I did not want to do I did not want to do build ceiling, and my mom wanted me to become a dentist with. But I said I don't want to put fingers in people's mouths, so I decided to just follow my heart.
Like, what do you mean? You got into botany?
I did my first year at Dempe College. I did 11-12 science at Father Agnel's in Pilar. Then I did my first year in Dempe College, and then the first year in Dempe College was just botany. And I always keep telling everybody who's in power, just botany, TY botany is spoiling children's lives, because you can't do anything. And I've on several platforms and on several interviews, I've been very vocal about this. Botany has to be substituted with landscaping, horticulture and gardening.
To be added on.
Like the Bombay University. So when I went to first year Dempe College, I realized it's plain botany. When I did some inquiry, I realized Bombay University had botany, horticulture and landscaping. And that's the time I said, I'm leaving Goa and I'm going to the Bombay University. And back again, I'm leaving it on record that plain botany in Goa is no good. You're spoiling.
Why?
Because how many people are going to call you to identify one tree? And what are you going to be paid, sir?
What does botany do?
It teaches you about different type of plants, mosses and all to identify trees. But how many people are going to call you for that?
It's not a
Give an
financially
add-on.
visible.
Yes, it's not. You can't sustain.
Okay.
You can't just sustain just going and saying you can identify a tree and you get 500 rupees to identify 5-6 trees. Is it worth? So it's time that people who are in power, who are looking after education, please wake up and save the remaining lives of children with botany, horticulture. I'm there to help because I'm a living testimony of what people have done botany, and today where they are nowhere.
But then what, like this agriculture also, you feel that agriculture is needed? Because I don't know if how much agriculture can happen in Goa, because
There
of
are
the
fields, but
the holdings are small, right?
No, there
It's
are
not
fields.
feasible.
South Goa has got very good holdings. There are fields. Even North Goa there are. But people have to come forward, and there should be proper institutes, proper agriculture colleges, botany also. But see, at the end of the day, it's a passion that takes you to a different level.
But you need money to survive also, no?
You require mentor. So that's the reason people have the courses they offer have to be hands-on. It's hands-on.
How did you get into bonsai?
So it's a very tricky question. It's way back in maybe the 80s. I think it was just Doordarshan, and my dad happened to watch my guru's Jyoti Nikunj Parekh, and dad told me about a story about a tree on a rock and all, and I found it very interesting. And dad gifted me a first book of tropical bonsai, and I was totally mesmerized. I did not read any text. I just kept looking at the pictures, and looking at the pictures, I decided to decode it and start bonsai.
So, okay. Now this is your bonsais. Then you continued with that. You started off. You got into bonsai initially.
Yeah. Then
before
I went to Bombay. I did a basic course. I did lots of advanced courses, and whenever international masters came, back again. And I'm glad to say in the month of May, we're having a very big convention of bonsais where at the Raj Bhavan, and most of you all are welcome. It's for 3 days.
What will you all do there?
There are delegates who are going to come all over from the country, all over from to India, and it's a 3-day course where international masters are going to come on.
And they teach you about
and
the
they're going to teach
bonsai.
out on tropical trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So of 3 days, the first day is not open to public, but second and third day is open, and there'll be press reviews coming out of the paper. So please do come because you'll be able to see a lot of bonsais, and I myself are doing a personal display of my collection.
Okay. Now to get into a little more details as such. Now, do you see a urban and rural divide among this tree culture and greenery?
No, it's very disappointing. Initially, I could see the difference between staying in a village, but today you come to the villages. You know what troubles me a lot is these big signboards is not acceptable to
What
me.
sign?
There are huge signboards across the road. I don't want to mention which ward it is.
No, but what signboard? Like
Huge signboards saying like of some restaurant,
billboards.
and
Okay.
whatever, we are not you. That's not Goa. And you see this only in metros like Bombay, and I'm seeing it coming up in Goa, and it breaks my heart. There's one which I've seen, I don't want to mention. It's close to Asagaon. It's huge. It's across the road. Now, for heaven's sake, we're Goa. It's a stay. It's a beautiful tiny village. I think we should maintain the village vibe.
Asagaon you can maintain now. Asagaon is not
Yeah,
Asagaon.
I mean, it's a time that we have to maintain the look and feel. So finally, according to me, there's nothing going to be a village left in Goa, at least in North Goa, the way the development is happening. Everywhere is getting branded. So where is the vibe?
So you feel that there's hardly any difference between
Now
Asagaon and Panjim?
there's hardly any difference.
Same it is.
It's almost the same.
But then in fact,
Actually, we would say we have got more restaurants which we can't even afford.
in Asagaon.
Yeah, we can't afford. It's very sad to say. We Goans can't afford because of a family of 4, your bill is like 10 to 12, 15,000. My friend from recently who came from Dubai said whatever you all pay, we pay in Goa for a drink, like 900 rupees for a drink. In Dubai, you would get it in a fabulous place, but you're paying the same amount. This is where Goa has reached.
Fair
And
enough,
it's
that I agree.
very shocking. It's very shocking.
Fair enough. So you feel that, but in villages, even in North Goa, there are trees, greenery is there, right? No.
But the development is too much.
And in cities also, there are trees.
It's just you wait for another 4-5 years. There's nothing going to, according to me, there's nothing going to be as a village, and there's nothing going to be a city. Panjim is going to move into it's. I think it's already moved,
urbanization.
yes, and it's. I think it's going to be rampant and all over. There's nothing now. Asagaon is over. Shiolim is over. People have finished Aldona. National is over, and it breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. There's nothing left. Nothing left. These huge sites. And I think it's time that people start seeing what's happening to our beautiful state
I'm
of
sure
Goa.
people can see, but I don't know if they're be starting to care, because they would prefer to go to
Yeah, and I think it's our fault. I think we are only to be blamed, sir.
So, but now with this rampant development, as you call it, basically what I'm thinking, what you're trying to say is concretization.
Yes.
As it is, this global warming has become a big issue.
Yes.
So the temperatures going up. And this is going to affect humans.
Yes.
This is going to affect birds, animals. All. What have you got to say on that? What's your take on that?
My take is, I pray, it's not a good thought, but I pray like the Taute, we have a severe one in Goa and we have no electricity and people will realize what the tree cover was doing to us. Problem is, we feel hot, we go on, we put on the ACs in our rooms, we put on our fans. We sit in our cars, we put on our ACs. But trust me, to sit without electricity in Goa and you'll realize every year how the temperatures are getting bad. See just example of the mango crop this year. Some of the most beautiful mangoes, which are called Malkurad mangoes, used to come from the island of Sherao and from Shiolim. There is no fruit coming from Sherao this year.
Nothing.
There's no fruit.
Why?
There's no fruit because of global warming, rains, irregular rains. So who's to be blamed? We.
What is the okay, sorry, before I go to this question, what I'm saying is that we go into our AC rooms and cars and all that. What about the plants? What about the animals and the birds?
They are also struggling, and there are indications of trees like the bombax tree, which is a silk cotton tree. The silk cotton tree fruits and flowers in summer. There are indications in January the tree, seeing what the climate is happening, is fruiting and flowering in the month of Jan.
It's supposed to flower when?
In the month of March, April, May.
I see.
In hotter months.
Okay.
So that's a biological indicator. All that we have to do is open our eyes and see what's happening. So the trees themselves are confused.
Jan, which is supposed to be normally cold,
Cold,
is like
yes.
March
Yes.
heat.
So these are biological indicators that God has given us. So we as humans have to open our eyes and see what's happening around us. Things which don't happen in the month of January or in the month of May are happening in the month of Jan. So the trees themselves are confused.
Confused, or generally they are basically just reacting to the rises.
Yes, they are reacting to the climatic conditions.
So what you feel can be done on two points. I will like to break this up into 2 points. What you feel can be done at a general authority level, the larger level.
No, the government has to be very strict in the plantation.
What?
In plantation, proper tree drives.
Yeah.
See what happens every year during.
No, but the government is cutting down trees. You see what's happening in Kampal.
But simultaneously, see, I'm in favor of development. But when you remove out a tree, but make sure that somebody is monitoring the tree. I'll give you one example. Many years back, a big funfair happened during the June month. Trees were planted in Kampal. They were documented. We had the chief secretary come over there. The same year, during I think December something, November, December, or maybe December, on parade ground for the 19th December, that same tree which was so much of funfair was just bulldozed by the crane. So basically what we are doing is just an eye wash and to get photographed.
Or no coordination.
No coordination, no upkeep, no data.
Doesn't know what's left.
Yes, no data.
So what's the solution? At the government level first.
At the government level, yes. The government has to be very serious. There should be a proper tree authority of Goa.
Okay.
Which we don't have in Goa, sadly. Okay. See, Bombay, when I visit Bombay, I stay in Bandra. The tree cover is astounding. There's so much of coolness in Bandra, a place like Bombay. But they will not allow you to cut one tree. And there are roads in Bombay which have gone for development, but because of the heritage trees, those roads have been left. So how nice is that?
That's not happening in Goa.
That's not happening in Goa.
Should happen.
It should obviously happen. Because from where is the oxygen going to come? So people of Bombay are very sensitive towards the tree cover, which I don't see happening in Goa. It's just a handful of people, which is not enough for a state of Goa.
Yeah, okay. There again, this comes to my second question. Now, see, we are according to the last census, and probably it will go up. We are some 14-15 lakh Goans. So, what can we do at a micro level for to do something about these tree cover? Forget about the government. That is one thing. Now that's happened.
See, I think everybody has to be responsible. If you have a piece of land that you plant some sort of tree.
Okay.
You plant in your own, because at least obviously today if trees are going to survive, they're going to survive in public properties.
Public property?
Yes.
Or private property?
In private property, sorry.
Okay.
So that's the only way we can look after trees, because anything that is outside your compound, we don't have control of. Yeah. So I think everybody has to be very understand what's the importance of the tree cover of Goa.
Possible?
Possible.
How?
Even the government can give during the monsoons, give away proper saplings, have proper tree drives, invite initiatives, involve the panchayat. The panchayat comes, they give you trees, but nobody is bothered if you take it or plant it. There's no statistics to back up that many trees were given and that many trees have reached full maturity.
So, no, fine. Now, this is at the government. The government will give you saplings, but at a local level, in the house, that's where each one should be responsible.
That comes from yourself. That comes from yourself.
But how could that be improved? Or how
I think then you have to go further down at the school level.
That's what I'm saying.
School levels. Go to the levels of school level, start catching the children at a younger age, maybe for 5th standard, the school themselves do tree drives, have lectures, invite professionals, invite resource persons, talk to them, make them sensitive of what's happening to Goa. And I think because finally end of the day, it's a youth that will become into adults and they'll take the state of Goa further.
Just awareness is enough, or maybe fear is enough. It needs to be put in. Reality has to be shown to people, because I don't know if just awareness, many times it's
and practicality. They can at the school level themselves, they can make a very green compound.
Otherwise, what will happen if you don't do that? Something like that should
because then you'll never get at a later stage at an older stage in life, you'll never get passionate about trees if you're not you don't get them in the young stage, because they were never introduced to that subject.
Then what will happen to the kids of, like, for example, generation, like say my kids or 2 generations?
They will not be said. They will just observe.
What will happen to Goa? What will happen to Goa without these trees?
God bless them.
No, but give us some this. What's going to happen? We are going to.
I really don't know. I can't answer that. But they will not come forward like to save trees and all, because it was never taught to them as kids. It was never taught to them.
So if there are no trees, what's going to happen to a place like Goa, for example?
Obviously, you're going to see. I think people who come for the natural beauty will stop coming. The temperatures will so rise. It's going to be the global warming will be at a much higher pace. So
then there was some research done that water levels are going to rise and all.
It is happening.
That's going to happen.
Everything is going to happen. If you don't take care of Mother Nature is 200% going to retaliate. See at other places in the North India, what happens? When she comes with vengeance, nothing is going to stop her, because we have not protected her, we have not taken care of her.
What's your message now to Goans in general?
My message is to Goans is, there's one interesting story which I tell you. When I started my career, I happened to do a small project for garden for Mrs. Indira Gandhi's Prime Minister's PA. And that memory was so sharp in my mind that she told me, Daniel, there is no place like Goa. But sadly, we Goans have not realized it, that we live in such a beautiful state. My message to Goan is, get rooted, fall in love with your own beautiful state, which is a pearl. And honestly, there is no place like Goa across India. Look after the tree cover, look after the state, look after your rainwater. Just don't channelize your rainwater across the road. Recharge it at the ground levels. Is very important.
And possibly, see, ultimately, we spoke about government a little earlier, but our elected representatives will only work if some pressure is put on them by the voters.
Yes.
So if these very voters allow some roads to go through the middle of field, so flooding happens and all that if they don't.
But honestly, sometimes I feel what I see. Our thoughts don't matter. We are bulldozed.
How's
So,
that?
so it is said. It is said. Sometimes I feel like we have become a minority in our own states
How's that? It's not true.
because the amount of influx of people.
Not true. For example, I'll give you an example, little political. Before I end, I'll tell you, it's a complete misnomer probably being propagated by politicians. Asagaon is 15-20,000 people
Yes.
in a constituency.
Yes.
Out of that, migrants are 3 to 5,000.
Yes.
15,000 are Goans. So if you allow the politicians to tell you that no, we don't care for you, our minorities only, these migrants only will bring us to, it's a lie, which Goans believe. Goans are very intelligent, they are holding such high posts all over the world.
All across the world. Yes.
But how can they believe this silliness? It's not true. Wherever you go, even in north, migrants are, except probably one constituency like Murmugaon, migrants are between 3 to 5,000. Not more than that. 75-80% are ethnic Goans.
So the fault lies with us.
So my point is, this is a lie when you say that no, we don't matter. Of course. But then if this message is being
Portrayed.
put out,
Yes.
and we believe it.
I the one have believed it.
Exactly. Now I'm giving you figures.
Yes.
Now even Asagaon, even in a place like Asagaon, since you are from there, even in a place like Asagaon, 20,000, not more than 4 to 5,000 voters from
Outside.
Yes. So 15,000 are from where? So you cannot vote a person who's good, who's going to do something for you. I think that's a absolute nonsense. This is something that we should think about in case we want to
See a change.
save our what you're saying, I'm not getting into this or that, I'm just talking about the figures. These are the figures, these are hard reality. Even in a very compromised place like North Goa, as you call it, this is the reality, and in South it's much
Different.
less. It's less. So I don't know. I don't agree with this argument of yours, Daniel. I'm sorry about
No, I
So anyway, last words. We are like almost out of time. Daniel, anything last which you want to give advice?
that the youth have to be a little more sensitive to our beautiful state of Goa and look after Goa because it's a beautiful state and it breaks my heart to see the way it's going about.
You can't leave it to the elders to take care of the state. I don't think they're going to do it. It's only the youth. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
This was Daniel D'Souza. He is very passionate about his green and all, but underlining all that is a matter of survival for Goa, for the way Goa is, and for the way of life that Goans are used to. Again another misnomer. I totally is a complete complete lie. It's a thing that people say, no, Goans are lazy, Goans are this, Goans are that. I don't think so. It's just something being propagated to ensure that Goans don't stand up for their rights everywhere in the country. No, there are a lot of hard-working Goans. Daniel is one. He can tell you his the number of hours he works, and there are so many people who are doing very well everywhere, including in Goa. But the thing is that no, Goans are lazy, which is absolute nonsense, so as to say. So these few things, if we get over these cliches which people try and force it down our throat, I think it's not so difficult. I don't feel Goa is gone. I feel there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of scope for us to be a green state, the USP why everybody wants to come to Goa, and I hope not only for the alcohol. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Thank you, and keep watching
very much.
Goa 365.